Good afternoon, YouTube. Anthony Darby with Peninsula Wellness, Peninsula Alternative Health, Peninsula Holistics, and the names will keep growing as you guys keep letting me start new companies. We are here with our weekly Lunch and Learn. I try to jump in here as much as I can on Wednesdays at noon. Brandon fills in and Donnie will be filling in when I cannot. To take a relevant topic. Sometimes it's broad scope, that it's a cannabis related or a wellness related topic that can be really applicable to anyone. Sometimes we'll dive down into more of a micro topic like today, which is really just focused all around how folks obtain their medical cannabis card, get it active, and then get the ability to be able to come in and purchase cannabis from a Maryland dispensary. So, you know, this Lunch and Learn was actually created out of a need. We get a ton of questions and inquiries every day. My friends and family are texting me and calling me, sending messages on Facebook, constantly asking like, hey, what do I have to do to get a card? My hope is that within the next 15 or 20 minutes, I'll be able to outline the entire process, soup to nuts, talk about the registration and certification, how we can help in the process and get you guys to a position where you know how to go out and get a card on your own. So pretty easy topic today. Won't take too long, and I'll kind of dive in. So the MMCC certification process, the process to be able to come in and purchase medical cannabis is easily broken down into two stages. Okay, you have a stage where you have to register with the state of Maryland, become active within their system, and then have a profile with a number to be linked to by a physician. So then once you have the registration with the MMCC, when you go see that physician for your certification, your medical cannabis certification, they can then link that certification to your patient profile. If you have not registered with the MMCC and the first thing that you do is reach out to one of these certifying physicians, they're not going to be able to get you squared away because they have no profile to link to, and these physicians, they don't do that. So let's start in the very beginning of the process. You've identified that you think that medical cannabis is going to be appropriate for you. Whether you've seen a physician or not, this is the very first step. It's the actual patient coming to the aspiration of looking to obtain a medical cannabis card. This starts with the MMCC's website. So that's the Maryland Medical Cannabis Commission. Their website is mmcc.maryland.gov. You can do this along the way as I'm talking right now. So it's mmcc.maryland.gov. Pull up that page, click on patients, and you will get to a screen that says registration for adult patients, okay? It's going to go ahead and give you some of the criteria that you're going to need before you actually click the link and start going through the application process. Okay, first things first, 90% of those people, it's not going to be a big deal, but there's 10% of people out there that are watching this that don't have an email account. I know it sounds crazy, but they don't. They come to us every day. You have to have a valid email account. Everything that MMCC does from a correspondence perspective is going to go to an email account. So it's very important that you have a valid, accessible email account, that you know what it is, you know the password, you're able to get to it, and you're able to monitor it, because you're going to need to monitor it to be able to interact with the MMCC, including the very first step, which is verifying your account. Next thing you're going to need is the last 4 digits of your social security number. You're going to need an electronic copy of your valid government issued ID, aka driver's license or passport, and then you're going to need proof that you live in Maryland. This proof of Maryland can be, we'll go with the proof ID. So your ID can be a driver's license, a state-issued ID card, a military ID, or a U.S. passport. Those 4 forms of ID are all valid forms of identification that you can use to certify yourself or register yourself with the state. If your address is different from your ID, i.e. you have moved since the time that you got your ID, then you're going to need to include another document that's going to validate it's going to validate your address and your residence. And this also applies for folks that have moved in from out of state. So let's say you moved here from Colorado and you haven't gotten around to getting a Maryland ID. If you have a Colorado ID, as long as you can prove Maryland residency, you're absolutely eligible for the Maryland Cannabis Program. I think that's a misconception that some folks don't realize. So if you're in Delaware, or if you moved recently from Delaware, or Virginia, or New Jersey, or PA, or one of the neighboring states, or even if you're a college student and you're in town from out of state and you still kept your state ID, that does not preclude you from participating in our program. You just have to prove residency. You can prove residency with an MVA registration or car title, utility bill, bank statement, property tax bill, mortgage statement, major credit card bill, a residential rental contract, a selective service card, a federal state government issued mail by the state of Maryland, like Social Security or Social Services, your car insurance policy. All the documents have to be dated within 90 days. You get 2 of those documents included with your state, with any federal government ID, and then you can prove your residency within the state of Maryland. I think it's important, before we dive in too much further, maybe I should highlight the why, and the what. So what Maryland is trying to do with the registration standpoint is they're really just validating your identity. They are not making any type of a medical decision. They're not going to say, yes, you qualify for cannabis, or no, you don't. All they're doing is saying, okay, based upon the information you provided, you are who you are, and then they're going to provide you, eventually, when you are accepted with them and registered, with a 16-digit number that is very unique to the program. That 16-digit number is important because that's how we stay autonomous within our program. So there's no database where, let's say, a police officer or an employer or anyone can actually go in and just log on and look up and say, okay, is Anthony Darby a medical cannabis patient based upon his name and social security number? The only way that law enforcement or dispensaries or anyone is able to access your account is with your permission and a 16-digit account number. So your 16-digit identification number. So that patient identification number is very, very important, and we'll mention it several times. All right, so we talked about you're going to need an email account, you're going to need social security number, you're going to need a government ID, you're going to need proof that you live in the state. The next thing that you're going to have to do as part of the registration process with the state is take a recent picture. Okay, and this recent picture is going to be used for your ID. This picture causes people more trouble than any other part of the registration process. This really seems to be where folks get hung up. Whether they try to submit a file size that's larger than 3 MB, or they're digitally enhancing or using filters on their photos. The state is very clear with what they want, okay? They want a passport-like photo in a recent photograph behind a white background without you smiling or showing any sense of a good time. So you stand there with a mean mug behind a white background, looking forward as kind of prison-like as possible, and you'll have a way higher likelihood of getting your picture accepted versus smiling, filtering it, not using a white background. It really is, honestly, I would say if there's 5 people that come to us with issues that their application was chucked out, 3 of them are because of picture issues. And once you have those things, so you have your ID, social security number. It costs $75 to register with the state, and they're going to take that payment at the time of registration. So it's important that you have a valid credit card handy as well, that you're able to put that $75 payment on. That's going to be your only cost for the state. And what that's going to get you with that $75 is it will provide you with your ID, and that registration is going to last for 3 years. Okay, 3 years. So once you register once, then you'll go 3 years without having to register again. And so that $75 fee is not as painful if you think about it. That's not an annual fee. That's something that's going to keep you registered for the next 3 years. For those that want to go ahead and accomplish this on their own, I mentioned the pre-required documents that you would need. I've given you the outline. You would go on the MMC's website, and you're just going to follow along step by step on the form that they have there for new patient registration. Once you are through the registration process, the next step, so it's been, the registration process takes roughly 3 to 6 weeks, depending on the accuracy of your information and, quite honestly, the state of speed that the state is running at. We've seen Maryland go through different ebbs and flows of getting a lot of flooding with applications, and sometimes, they're able to get those applicants approved quickly within 3 weeks. Other times we hear of patients waiting a month and a half or longer in some instances. So the process that's going to be the longest part of the process. Once you're registered with the state, a certifying provider can get you certified within a second. That is not the issue. The longest part of this entire process, from you deciding that, hey, I want to go get a medical cannabis card, to being able to come into a dispensary, the longest process is the state registration piece. If anything that I've mentioned over the last 7 minutes seems overwhelming, it seems like I don't know how I take a picture behind a white background, I don't know how to upload my ID, whatever the case may be, we do a lot of this on site here. If you are close to Peninsula Wellness, simply schedule an appointment with our patient services team. We'll bring you into Donnie's office. We have a white background. We'll take your picture. We'll help you fill out your information. Just bring your card with you, your credit card with you. We don't charge anything at all for this service. It's completely free. Complimentary service that we provide for anyone. It's just an access issue for us. We just want to help patients have access to legal medical cannabis, and if we can provide that service downstairs, we're happy to do so. So honestly, if you're local and you're hearing this and you're in the Salisbury metropolitan area, where you're traveling through for the holidays, pop in, schedule an appointment with us. Please make sure you schedule an appointment, and we will help you 100% soup to nuts get registered with the state. Okay. So it's been 4 weeks. You get your email back from the state. They're going to show you that you have, it's your picture and your 16-digit number. And now you're going to take that information and you're going to book an appointment with a certifying provider. Now, with COVID, a large change was made, and these certifying providers are now allowed, like most practitioners, to be able to do telehealth appointments. So the majority of these practitioners, you're not even having to go and see them in person. They're able to accommodate you, give you an evaluation over the phone, through the computer, and have you certified within minutes. It's a very, very smooth and quick process now post-COVID. The state has done some things to streamline the process as well. So the certification process is sometimes thought of as a challenge, or maybe like something that's going to take some jumping through hoops. At this point, we have a list of over 36 providers that are within a 50-mile radius, and with telehealth, quite honestly, you can use a provider anywhere in the state. It doesn't matter as long as you trust them. Being open and honest with your certifying provider is the number one recommendation. Explain to them the challenges that you're having, what you're seeking to accomplish, utilizing medical cannabis. They'll recognize that you're being open and honest and transparent with them, and that you're not, trying to do anything that you're not supposed to. And that relationship will then allow you to get that final certification assigned, so that when you come into our dispensary the first time, what's going to happen is you're going to identify yourself as a new patient. We're going to put you through a first-time patient protocol, and part of that is going to be seeing your certification, getting you put into our internal system that then allows us to check against the state to make sure that your certification and your registration are both accurate. Now, unlike the registration that lasts for 3 years, a certification is only good for a year. Every year, you have to go and see that certifying provider again to renew your certification. It's just as part of the Maryland program. It's really a good opportunity for you to go back, share with them the progress that you're making in the program, share with them any concerns or any issues that you may be having, and really making sure that you're maintaining that physician-patient relationship, which is oh so important in what we do. So to tie this all together, like I mentioned, how we can help. I mean, we can provide some virtual assistance. There's other dispensaries that have similar services to ours. So if you're listening to this and you live in the DC area, or maybe the Western Maryland, or it's not convenient to you to come to us, reach out to your local dispensary, see what type of patient assistance they have. We've done everything from set up at local libraries, Chamber of Commerce's. We've done outreach to go out and make sure that it's not just our facility where we're doing this service. It truly is sad that there are people out there that can be really benefiting from cannabis today, but because they see the process as arduous or challenging, they haven't went and made that leap. So come let us help. You know, we'll get you guys set up with a good regimen of CBD if you need that while you're waiting for your card. That's a huge recommendation of ours is while you're going through the registration process and you know that you're about a month out. It's a really great time to start getting yourself on a baseline CBD regimen, understand how your body's really going to interact with cannabinoids, and then it's easier for us to add THC after we've already got our patients on CBD than vice versa. Our patients get much better health outcomes when they're already kind of stabilized as much as they can. They understand the maximum benefits that they're going to get from CBD, and now it's time to add in THC, THCV, THCA, CBN, CBG, all the other plethora of cannabinoids that we have within our dispensary to really modulate that system and get the most, the highest health quality outcome that we can get. So if you've listened to this and say, I'm still confused, I'm sorry I've done a poor job, but reach out. You can get in touch with us on Facebook. You can get in touch with us on Instagram, our website. Reach out to us. We have the support to help you guys, and we're happy to do it. Thanks a lot. Anthony Darby, Peninsula Wellness.